Hey guys, I'm Jessie, and today I am sharing my August reading wrap up with you. August was like a surprising month. I felt like I didn't read that much, but I just counted everything up and I read 7 books plus one like long ass short story. So we're gonna say I read 8 books, and that is double my goal. Like, so my goal is always 1 book a week because I don't have the time to read as much as a lot of other people, and that's fine. It's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm busy. But I managed to read about 8 books, so like, I'm proud of myself, even if I felt like I didn't read a lot. But what I kind of lack in quantity, which for me is still a lot of quantity, let's be real, I will make up for in quality. Because I am pretty sure I have had the most 5-star books in a month, this past month, than I have like ever had. Like, you can call me a 5-star strumpet if you want, but literally everything, everything I read is either a 4 or 5-star book this month. That never happens. Now, I can't say September is shaping up to be the same, but everything was 4 or 5 stars. So, like, y'all, I got some talking to do because we had a good time. So, first we're going to start out with the book that was my Patreon buddy read book pick, and that is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. This is a 4-star, probably a high 4-star. I enjoyed it immensely. I actually did like a full review for it, but I don't think that's up yet. But like, whenever it is, I'll come back and link it because this will probably go up first. But y'all, it was so good. For one, this gets it points alone, and that's the Naked Hardback. The Naked Hardback gets this book points. It's beautiful. So this is a book about a nature witch. So witches in this world control nature, right? They change with the seasons. So we have summer witches and autumn witches and winter witches, and it's so cool, right? But like, whenever the witch's season is over, their power starts to dwindle. They're only like super powerful during their season. But then we have our main girl, and she is what they call an Everwitch. So her powers change with the seasons, as does her mood and her emotions, and her power is like really tied to that. And I love it. She's trying to like figure out how to control her magic and like not get close to people because her magic hurts people, but she really wants to, but then like her emotions change with the seasons. And I really liked this. And you know what? I think that review is up. Probably. I'll link it if it's up because I'm sitting here thinking while I'm talking like, I think I did put that up. It's been a day, y'all. It's been a busy day. It's a busy weekend. And I bulk film, so like we're just going through it. But definitely pick this up. And if you want to join in on any more of my Patreon buddy reads, I have everything linked down below, where you can join, or you can just join the Discord and like join the free Discord and hang out with me. That's cool too, because we do buddy reads there too. Next, I finished Kingdom of Copper, and this was actually the first book that I finished in the month of August. Like, it was like real close to like the end of July, beginning of August when I finished this. But 5 stars. It was fantastic. It's the second book in the David Bye trilogy. I really need to get to Empire of Gold sometime super soon because I loved this so much. I think I liked this better than City of Brass. Probably because like we didn't need all that setup and all of the like world building as much as we got in City of Brass. We didn't need that in the second book. So a lot of times second books tend to be my favorite in series. Like, I don't know why most people are like, oh, middle book syndrome. So many books, so many series. The second book is my favorite. But we are following our crew again, our trio of Nari, Ali, and Dara. Like, we just, I after the ending of the first book, like, I needed to know more. And the one thing I will say is this does have a time jump that I was not expecting. It takes place 5 years after the events of the first book, which was fine. I just wasn't expecting that. But you know what? I really loved it. I loved how it went and ended, and woo, some reveals. And yeah, this one was great. Can't wait to read the next one. Then I read another 5-star book, and that is A Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 3 in era 2 of the Mistborn series. Y'all, this book ties the entire Cosmere together with the Mistborn series. It, at the end, ended up, this might be one of my favorite Mistborn books. I know. Like, I love Hero of Ages. That one I've been saying is my favorite forever. But, man, the ending of this one had me gasping. Because it was just so good. And so, like, mind-blowing. And, like, there's a whole book I was like, and, like, just, like, seeing stuff and noticing stuff. And I feel like this book does probably one of the better jobs I've seen personally at interconnecting different Cosmere worlds with the Mistborn series. Because I feel like, I remember him saying in an interview that his first, like, the actual, like, first era Mistborn, like, there are connections, but, like, he didn't want to make them too big and grand because, like, he was still a pretty new author at the time, and, you know, they don't give you as much creative freedom. And now he's just all in, so I love that. And, 5 stars. I actually just did a video on the, like, first and second era Mistborn series, so go check that out. Like, it's a first versus second and, like, what to expect, and go. And, I mean, it's a shorty. Like, these are short. Era 2 are shorter books, but I love them. So, go pick them up. After that, I read, not this whole thing. This is the Arcanum Unbounded. I read Mistborn: A Secret History, which is in this book. This is all the short stories. And I don't remember how many pages it is. I'm going to say it was like 200 pages. It was long. Yeah, it's almost 200 pages long. 80, 170 pages in this. Like, that's like a whole book. So we're counting it. But, woo, that's also 5 stars for a short story. Like, it ain't that short. Mistborn: A Secret History is something else. It is mind-blowing. It changes the way you look at the entire first era Mistborn. Like, no spoilers, but, like, if you read the Secret History, you have to read it after Era 1, at least. It says that there's mild spoilers for Era 2 and Bands of Mourning. I didn't notice that it was anything spoilery. There was just, like, little hints of things that I caught because I've read it. But I didn't see anything spoilery for Era 2, because everything in Mistborn: A Secret History takes place from the end of Book 1, Final Empire, to the end of Hero of Ages. So it's what happens that we don't see on page in the main series from the end of Era, like the end of Book 1 all the way to the end of Book 3 in Era 1. Hopefully that makes sense, because I can't talk today. But it will change the way you look at, like, the entire Mistborn series. So, if you have read Era 1 and you want some more, please go read this. Or read Mistborn: A Secret History. Like, it's amazing. Like, you need it. Also, I lied to y'all. I did have a 3-star. I just had blocked it out of my memory. And that is Volume 1 of White Sands, which is the, like, graphic novel in the Cosmere. And, like, it was okay. I didn't really like the art that much. I didn't really care about the story, but it wasn't bad. I think I would have liked it as a novel or like a novella, or maybe with like some different art. I don't know. I just wasn't super feeling it. I was just kind of like, meh. It was meh. It was okay. Like, it was my least favorite, like, Sanderson thing I've ever read, and I'm still giving it 3 stars. But I do feel like it's important to read if you want to catch all of the Easter eggs in the Cosmere because it is Cosmere connected and there is world hoppers in it. Yeah. There is world hoppers in it. So, read White Sands. It's on Kindle Unlimited, which is how I read it. So, like, I didn't pay for it. I'd have probably been upset if I'd have paid for it because, like, not my fave. But I think it's worth reading if you want all the Cosmere connect. Because I think, yeah, Bands of Mourning had to connect with White Sands, as did Mistborn, A Secret History. So, everything else I read this month is by the same author. As you can tell, like, I really love this author. And that is Sarah Beth Durst. I read 4 of her books this month. I did a whole reading vlog. That is definitely not up yet because I haven't edited it yet. But I did an entire 4 Sarah Beth Durst books, and like these are all pretty much 5 stars. Like she is a new favorite author of mine. If you have not read anything by Sarah Beth Durst, you should. I have a full review up for Queen of Blood, and I have a full review up for The Bone Maker, which is like my absolute favorite of her books. Like The Bone Maker's just, it was my favorite book of the year. But Queen of Blood is so good, and I finished off what I have. So first and foremost, I finished off the Queens of Renthia series. So we've got The Reluctant Queen, which is book 2, and then we've got The Queen of Sorrow, which is book 3. Absolutely loved them. This second one right here is probably my favorite book in the series. As I said, I have a tendency to really love second books, and this one was so good. It introduced my favorite character. Her name is Nayleen, and she is a mother. Sarah Beth Durst does mom characters so well. Like, she is a mother herself. I looked it up on her website. She is a mom. So I think that is a big part of why she writes motherhood so well and so nuanced and just like, I relate to it so much. And I love Nayleen in this. And Nayleen has 2 children, and they are like similar in age, a little older than like my 2 kids, older girl, younger boy. Like, they reminded me a lot of my kids, which I really loved. One of the complaints that I saw people talking about on Goodreads is that they thought the kids were annoying, but to me they were childlike. I find that a lot of times kids in fantasy are like too adult, and they're not annoying. Like, kids are annoying, okay? I love my kids, but kids are annoying. And I found the kids really relatable, which is something that I always look for. I know it's weird. And like, another complaint that I saw somebody talking about was that she never seems to get annoyed with him, but like, they're in a pretty weird situation, and I'm pretty sure she does discipline these kids. And like, she definitely does, right? Like, she's definitely her own person and a mom. But like, being a mom is important to her. It's what she does and wants and loves. And like, them kids are her life, and I relate to that, Nayleen. So she's my absolute favorite character in this series. But book 2, fantastic. Oh my god, the plot twists, the end, like the magic is still amazing. And of course, I read the last book in the series, 3rd book, Queen of Sorrow. I gave it 5 stars. It was not my least favorite. Like, I don't know if I can say which one was my like least favorite in the series. I really liked it. It has a pretty open ending. I can see why people are like kind of iffy on the ending. There's some things I would have changed probably, or wanted to see differently, but like, I get it because I've read other Sarah Beth Durst books, and she leaves questions at the end of her book. She leaves them very much like, you feel like there could be another book, but you're still satisfied with the ending that you got, if that makes any sense. I've noticed that from like all her books I've read. It's like, okay, there's a door, and it's like cracked open. Like, it's not like all the way open like sequel bait, but it's not completely shut. But, like, it's there, and it doesn't answer all your questions. It answers most of your questions, but it makes you still feel like, okay, I get it. There are obviously some things that I would have liked to have seen different, just slightly. But I can't really go into that without spoiling things. So if you've read these and you want to message me and talk about them, please do. I've got Instagram, It's probably the best way to get me is on my Coffee Mom Instagram or, Twitter or whatever. But if you've read these and want to talk about them, I know Elliot said that this was her least favorite of the series. I still liked it. I thought it wrapped up really, really well. So, loved it. And then, still technically a Queens of Rinthia book, Deepest Blue. This is a Tales of Rinthia book. It is a standalone in the same world as the other 3 books, but it takes place in a different kingdom. This actually takes place after the events of Queen of Sorrow. But not like so far after, right? Like a couple of years after. And we are on the island nations of Baleen, and we get to learn about like their political system and how they handle the spirits and how they choose their queen and their heirs and how everything is so different over there than it is in like Arderay or Simo or any of the lands that we've already seen. And we follow our one girl who does have powers, but she's, tried to hide them her whole life because of the way they treat girls with powers over there. They don't just be like, go to the school and learn the way they do in Arderay, like we have seen before. They are like forced to either go into what they call the Silent Ones, which is like the police force, or the, they go train and like face this test to become heirs, but like 90% of the people that choose that die. But if you choose to be a Silent One, then you can never speak, you can never see your family again, you renounce your name, so like it's like you're dead. And I'm like, man, that's like ridiculous. Like they're hardcore in Baleen. And of course our girl has to do it and go to the island and all that and do the tests. And, like, of course, like, us as a reader, the whole time, like, since I've read the other 3 are like, man, like, seeing the small amounts of crossover, and there's not a whole lot. This does read as a standalone on its own. If you want to read it before the rest of the books, you can. I don't recommend it in that reading order because there is crossover. And for one, because of, like, chronologically it takes place after. But there are, like, minor characters from the first book or from the first series that you see in this. You have more explanation and knowledge of the world. You have more knowledge of the magic system, just going in. So I recommend not reading this until after you've read all 3 of those. But it is a standalone, and I liked it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, probably a high 4 stars. It is the only Sarah Beth Durst book I have ever given 4 stars to. And mainly because there were just some things that I wanted differently. Like, the ending was really great, but it was kind of like, oh, that again? And if that makes sense, it was kind of like that again. But I still liked how it was done. So, and it was still like, it was a that again, but it was different. So I did appreciate that. And, I would read more from this nation. I would read more from any of the other islands or any of the other, like, nations that they have in this world. Like, I would do. And then my final book of the month that I read is Race the Sands, also by Sarah Beth Durst. Also a standalone adult fantasy, only this does not take place in the Queens of Rinthia world. This is all by its little lonesome. And again, I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. Like, this little guy on the cover, this is what they call a keyhawk. And they are basically when you are a terrible, terrible person in life and your soul is so damaged, you reincarnate as like a monster. And that stops your reincarnations. Like, once you reincarnate as a keyhawk, you can never reincarnate as anything different. You can never improve your status. So, like, don't do it. And then they have these Argers who can, like, read your auras and tell you, like, what you are on the path to reincarnate with. And reincarnation is huge in this world. And we're following Tamara, who is a mother, a former Keyhawk rider. And then she's now a trainer, but she's kind of like a disgraced trainer. We also follow another girl named Raya, who is younger. She's like a teenager. She's kind of like run away from home to escape like this like terrible family. And she decides to be a rider. So she ends up being trained by Tamara, and chaos ensues. She has to learn how to like ride the Kayhawks, and then, there's so much more than that, right? There's so much like political intrigue in this book. There's twists and turns, and there's not really romance in this book. So I appreciate that. One thing I will say about Sarah Beth Durst is in all of her books, romance is usually in the very like back burner. Like it's usually like a side plot, right? Like it's there, but it's not there. And this one has the least amount of romance of any of her books. So like if you just don't want romance, like there's like a slight twinge of like I like you, but nothing that's not important in this book. It's not. There's no, it's fantastic. There's so much good like family elements in this though. Like there's a whole lot of like your family doesn't have to be blood. Like you can choose your family, and like just touching moments and like terrifying moments, and it's a little gory in places, and I absolutely loved it, and I loved all the politics, and I loved this. So if you haven't read this, you should, because we don't get enough great adult fantasy standalones, and this does it. Again, it's one of those Sarah Beth Durst books that just at the end, you're happy with it, but there's like a little cracked door that's like, okay, she could do more, but you don't need a sequel because like this is a standalone. But definitely read this one. Read anything by Sarah Beth Durst. I feel like this video just turned into like gushing about Sarah Beth Durst, but like that's pretty much all my reading was this month. Was like Brandon Sanderson and Sarah Beth Durst, my like two favorite authors. All right, well hopefully you enjoyed this. My name is Jessie. Let me know if there is anything that you want to talk about, any of these books that you have questions about, or if you've read any of them and you want to talk about them more, let me know. If you want to read some more Sarah Beth Durst, I highly recommend that you do that because she's very underrated here on BookTube and she needs more hype. All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will talk to you next time. Bye.